Once upon a time, in a small village nestled among rolling green hills, there lived a girl named Lily. She was a quiet, pensive child who found solace in the simple wonders of the natural world around her. While the other children frolicked in the village square, Lily could often be found in the lush meadow at the edge of town, lying on her back in the swaying grass, staring up at the great expanse of blue sky. It was on one such day, as wispy white clouds drifted lazily overhead, that a glint of color caught Lily's eye. A butterfly, its wings a brilliant mosaic of blues and oranges, floated on the breeze above her. Enchanted, Lily sat up slowly, so as not to startle the delicate creature. The butterfly hovered for a moment, as if appraising her, before alighting on a dandelion inches from her hand. Lily held her breath, afraid to move lest she disrupt the magical moment. She had never seen a butterfly up so close before. Its wings were even more exquisite and intricate than she had imagined, like stained glass windows illuminated by the sun. Gently, Lily extended one finger towards the dandelion stem. To her wonder and delight, the butterfly stepped lightly onto her outstretched finger, its legs delicate pinpoints on her skin. Girl and butterfly regarded each other silently for a long moment, an unspoken connection blossoming between them. Then, with a flutter of wings, the butterfly lifted up and spiraled into the sky. Lily watched, transfixed, until it had disappeared over the treetops in a last glimmer of blue and orange. From that day forward, Lily returned to the meadow each afternoon in hopes of glimpsing her butterfly friend again. More often than not, it would appear, dancing on the air currents before coming to rest on Lily's waiting hand. It became a ritual between them, an unspoken pact, girl and butterfly, bound together in a friendship that transcended the boundaries between their different worlds. As spring turned to summer and the days grew longer and warmer, Lily spent countless hours laying among the wildflowers with the butterfly perched lightly on her knee or the tip of her nose as she giggled. She whispered to it her secrets, her hopes and her dreams, and imagined that it understood. Her parents noticed her disappearing alone for hours each day, but seeing the joy and lightness of spirit their daughter carried with her, they chose not to question it. One morning, Lily awoke to find the fields veiled in a damp, white fog. Her heart sank with disappointment, knowing the weather would keep her butterfly friend away. She tucked herself into her favorite armchair by the window with a mug of cocoa, silently willing the mist to lift. Around midday, a sliver of sunlight broke through and the thinning fog began to dissipate. Lily leapt to her feet, hastily tugged on her rain boots, and dashed outside before her mother could protest. She squelched through the slick grass to the meadow, her heart pounding with anticipation. But when she reached their usual meeting spot, the butterfly was nowhere to be found. Lily waited for hours, until the sun began to sink below the trees and the sky deepened to dusk. At last, heartsick and bewildered, she turned for home, her mind spinning with worry for her friend. Perhaps it had gotten lost in the fog, or been blown off course by strong winds. Or worse yet, perhaps it had forgotten her. Lily slept fitfully that night, plagued by unsettling dreams. Just before dawn, she startled awake with the unshakable feeling that something was terribly wrong. She rushed to dress and snuck out the back door into the hazy pre-dawn light. The grass in the meadow was wet with dew, soaking the edges of her nightgown as she searched every bush and flower with increasing desperation. "Please," she prayed silently, "please let it be all right." A glint of color on the ground made Lily's breath catch in her throat. With trembling hands, she knelt down for a closer look. There, lying broken amidst the clover, was her beloved butterfly. One of its wings was torn and crumpled, the other bent at an unnatural angle. It quivered pitifully but made no attempt to fly. "No, no, no," Lily whimpered, hot tears spilling onto her cheeks. With utmost tenderness, she cupped the broken creature in her palms and brought it close to her heart. "Don't worry," she whispered. "I'll take care of you now." Cradling the injured butterfly against her chest, Lily ran all the way home, not stopping until she had slipped silently back into her room. In a daze of worry, she found a small box and carefully lined it with soft fabric to make a bed. Ever so gently, she transferred the butterfly into the makeshift nest. For days, Lily attended to her ailing friend, bringing it droplets of sugar water and watching over it constantly. She fashioned tiny splints for its mangled wings using toothpicks and bits of string. At night, exhausted with worry, she would fall asleep with the box held tightly on her pillow. Under Lily's devoted care, the butterfly slowly began to mend. The jagged tear in its wing closed, and the splinted one straightened and strengthened bit by bit. Lily's heart soared the first time she saw it flutter its wings, testing their fragile strength. She knew then that her friend would recover in time. After a week had passed, Lily awoke one morning to find the butterfly buzzing energetically around its little enclosure, its wings almost fully healed. She knew the time had come to release it back to the wild, but her heart twisted at the thought of saying goodbye. Selfishly, she wanted to keep it safe with her forever. With a bittersweet smile, Lily carried the box out to the meadow one last time. She selected a patch of vibrant wildflowers and settled herself cross-legged among them. Swallowing the lump rising in her throat, Lily opened the lid of the box. The butterfly flitted out instantly, orbiting her head in dizzying spirals. It landed for just a second on her knee, and Lily imagined it was saying a silent thank you. Then, with a powerful thrust of its gossamer wings, it launched itself skyward and soared away until it had vanished into the blue. Lily remained in the meadow a long while after it had gone, her cheeks damp but her heart singing with joy. She understood now that if you love something, you must give it the freedom to fly. In that bittersweet knowledge, Lily stood up, dusted off her dress, and started the long walk home. As the years passed, Lily grew from a shy young girl into a kind and thoughtful young woman. She finished school, became a teacher, and fell in love with a gentle man who made her feel like she was flying. On the morning of their wedding, as Lily stood before the mirror in her simple white dress, she found herself thinking of her butterfly. She had never told a soul about their magical friendship and the lessons it had taught her, loving fully and selflessly, giving freedom to the ones you cherish most. Lily undid the button at her wrist and slipped out into the hazy dawn. The meadow was just as she remembered it, awash in a sea of wildflowers turned to gold by the rising sun. Lily walked to the center and closed her eyes, inhaling deeply. She could almost feel a whisper of wind against her cheek, gossamer wings in her palm. Smiling, she extended her finger like she had done so many times before. Lily gasped as a small form alighted on her skin. Her eyes flew open and she found herself staring at a butterfly. Not the same vibrant blue one of her childhood, but one pure white, like a blossom of light. It lingered for just a moment, a benediction, and then spiraled away into the blue. Blinking back tears, Lily watched it go, her heart overflowing. "Thank you," she whispered to the breeze. Taking a deep breath, she turned and walked back to the little church to take her vows. Butterfly kisses on her cheeks and forever in her heart. Years flowed by in a blur of joy and love and laughter. Lily and her husband made a warm, happy home together, filling it with books and art and 2 children who had their mother's dreaming green eyes. Lily took her little ones to the meadow often, teaching them the names of the flowers and how to stay perfectly still until a butterfly landed on your nose. In those golden afternoons, she imagined she could see her own butterfly friend peeking out from behind a blossom or dancing on a sunbeam, a secret protector. Even as the lines around her eyes deepened and her hair faded to silver, Lily never stopped believing in everyday magic, in the power of love and hope and giving freedom to beautiful things. She held those truths deep in her heart like talismans, bright as butterfly wings. And so it was that Lily lived to be very old indeed, surrounded by children and grandchildren who adored her, a life overflowing with love given and love received. When at last her time came and she slipped away in the night, it was with a soft smile on her face and the phantom brush of butterfly wings against her cheek. They laid her to rest in the meadow, in a clearing ringed by purple aster and Queen Anne's lace. As the mourners stood with bowed heads, a murmur rippled through the crowd. All around them, hundreds of butterflies in every color, blue and orange and green and purest white, had risen from the grass in a whirling cloud. They hovered for a long, still moment, sunlight catching on their wings, and then spiraled as one into the endless blue sky, finally free. Years later, Lily's granddaughter Amelia found herself drawn to the same meadow her grandmother had loved so dearly. Amelia had grown up on Lily's lap, absorbing her stories and her wisdom like a flower soaking up the sun. Of all the tales her grandmother wove, the one about the butterfly had always been Amelia's favorite. She could listen to it 100 times and never tire of it. Now, at 14, Amelia came to the meadow often to think and dream and feel close to Lily's spirit. She would bring her sketchpad and sit cross-legged amongst the flowers, capturing their delicate beauty in colored pencil while the sun warmed her back. Lily had taught her that drawing was a kind of magic too, a way to pour your heart onto paper and make a moment last forever. One especially golden afternoon, Amelia settled herself on a patch of thick clover, soaking in the tranquility. She flipped to a fresh page in her sketchbook, ready to let her mind wander. A fat, fuzzy bumblebee caught her eye as it buzzes lazily from blossom to blossom. Amelia began to sketch it, her pencil moving in sure, quick strokes. She was just shading the soft edges of the bee's tiny wings when a flash of bright blue made her glance up sharply. There, perched on a nearby thistle as if it had been waiting for her, was the most astonishingly blue butterfly Amelia had ever seen. It flexed its sapphire wings once, twice, caught the sunlight and scattered it. Amelia's heart began to pound. Could it be? Hardly daring to breathe, she extended her index finger towards the thistle, just as Lily had once showed her. "You can communicate so much through the simplest of gestures," her grandmother had said. "All you need is an open heart and the courage to reach out." The butterfly considered Amelia's outstretched finger for a moment that felt like an eternity. Then, in a burst of impossible blue, it fluttered over and alighted on her skin, light as a sigh. Amelia stared in disbelief, joy rising in her chest like a balloon. She thought of her grandmother's words, "Magic is always closer than you think. You just have to believe in it." And in that moment, sitting there with an azure butterfly on her finger and her grandmother's voice in her ear, Amelia believed. She felt Lily's presence all around her, in the earth and the sky and the very air she breathed. She knew then what a gift it was to be part of something so much bigger than herself, the great pattern of love and life and memory that linked all living things. She closed her eyes, and when she opened them again, the butterfly had vanished as quickly as it had appeared. The only evidence it had ever been there at all was a single shimmering blue scale on Amelia's finger. Smiling, she picked up her pencil and began to sketch again. Only this time, a brilliant blue butterfly took shape on the page, forever captured in a moment of everyday magic. As the years went on, Amelia continued her grandmother's legacy of love and resilience. She grew into a wise and gentle woman, never too busy or preoccupied to stop and appreciate the small, quiet miracles all around her. She raised her own children on picnics in the meadow, teaching them how to weave flower crowns and spot shapes in the clouds. She painted sprawling, colorful murals on the walls of the local children's hospital, filling sterile rooms with butterflies and gardens to bring sick kids a little bit of joy. She took in injured and abandoned animals, nursing them back to health with endless patience and tenderness. Through it all, Amelia carried her grandmother's stories like precious talismans, close to her heart. Whenever the world felt too heavy or harsh, she would retreat to the meadow and be still, waiting. More often than not, a butterfly would appear, sometimes blue, sometimes orange or white or shimmering gold. It was the most perfect reminder that Lily's love was all around her, a guiding light that would never go out. So it was that Lily's lessons passed from daughter to great-granddaughter, an unbroken chain. They became the butterfly catchers, the magic makers, the ones who saw the extraordinary in the everyday. In each generation, the story of the girl and the butterfly lived on, a touchstone of hope and a reminder to believe in wonders, big and small. And always, the butterflies came to the meadow, dancing on the breeze and alighting on outstretched hands. If you looked closely, you might swear you saw one the startling blue of a summer sky, flitting from blossom to blossom before rising, until it was just a shimmer on the wind, bright as a promise. Lily was right, after all. The ones we love never really leave us. They become part of the pattern, stitched forever into the fabric of our hearts and our histories. We carry them with us, these stories and memories as light as butterfly wings, and in turn they give us the strength to lift our faces to the sun and fly.